What happens when a warplane is built not to be seen, but to be felt? The F-22 didn't join the fight. It rewrote it, slipping past radar like a ghost and striking before enemies knew a battle had begun. It became the aircraft other jets trained not to meet. And the program politicians loved to question. Tonight, we pull back the curtain on the jet that changed air combat and ask whether its greatest power also became its biggest problem. At the dawn of aerial warfare in World War I, airplanes were little more than flying scouts, eyes in the sky meant to track troop movements and spot artillery. They weren't feared weapons. They were fragile observers. But as wars evolved, so did the role of aircraft. Speed and altitude could keep a pilot safe for a time, but technology soon caught up. Radar, heat-seeking missiles, and advanced tracking systems made even the fastest jet vulnerable. That's when a radical idea took hold. What if an aircraft could avoid detection altogether? Not by outrunning enemies, but by disappearing from their sight. For decades, engineers worked in secrecy on technologies to bend radar waves, hide heat signatures, and make a jet appear more like a bird, or nothing at all. This obsession with invisibility eventually gave rise to a new class of aircraft, stealth fighters. And at the top of that shadowy lineage would emerge a machine so advanced, so untouchable, that it would be called the Raptor. But before it dominated the skies, its journey began with a single question. How do you build a warplane that the enemy can't see? By the late Cold War, air combat had become a game of margins, speed, sensors, and who saw who first. The US wanted a fighter that could win that game every time. Lockheed Martin answered the call with a radical design, low observability married to raw air superiority. They aimed to build a jet that didn't just survive fights. It dominated them before the enemy knew a fight had started. The Raptor's development was secretive and obsessive. Engineers rethought every surface, every seam, every material. Instead of hanging weapons on pylons where radar could spot them, the F-22 would carry its missiles inside the fuselage. Rather than accepting standard aerodynamics, it paired stealth with thrust vectoring and advanced flight controls so it could outmaneuver anything else in the sky. The result was a fighter that looked unlike anything before it. Sharp, faceted, and built around hiding from sensors as much as from guns. When it first flew, it wasn't just another prototype. It was a statement. Pilots reported a machine that felt precise and aggressive, a platform that gave them the confidence to push limits. Commanders saw a plane meant to guarantee air superiority in any future conflict. But the Raptor's brilliance came with a price. The same cutting-edge systems that made it unmatched in combat also made it staggeringly expensive and politically controversial. That tension, genius versus cost, would shape the Raptor's story as much as its stealth did. What truly made the Raptor terrifying wasn't just its speed or agility. It was the fact that enemies often never knew it was there. The jet's skin was a puzzle of radar-absorbing composites, its angles designed to scatter signals instead of reflect them. Even the canopy had a special coating to reduce its radar signature. Weapons that would normally hang beneath the wings, easy targets for enemy radar, were hidden inside the fuselage. Missiles and bombs were carried in internal bays, opening only for a split second to unleash their payload before vanishing back into stealth. From a radar operator's perspective, the Raptor wasn't a fighter jet. It was a bird, a flicker, sometimes nothing at all. Pilots called it cheating the sky. They could fly directly into contested airspace, remain unseen, and strike before the enemy had even raised an alarm. To the outside world, the jet became more myth than machine, a phantom whose presence was felt only after the damage was already done. But stealth was only half the story, because even a ghost, once spotted, has to fight back. And the Raptor's designers had prepared for that with something no rival could match: raw, impossible maneuverability. If stealth made the Raptor invisible, its agility made it unstoppable. Unlike most fighters that rely purely on thrust and aerodynamics, the F-22 was equipped with thrust vectoring nozzles, engines that could literally bend their exhaust to point in different directions. This meant the Raptor could pull off maneuvers no other aircraft on Earth could match. It could pitch its nose straight up while still gliding forward, dance in flat spins that left opponents overshooting, or pivot mid-air as if gravity had loosened its grip. Pilots described it as flying an extension of your own body. In combat training, rival jets struggled even to keep the Raptor in sight. Simulated dogfights often ended before the opposing pilot could lock on. One moment, the Raptor was ahead. The next, it was on their tail, missile systems primed. This supernatural agility, paired with its stealth, created a nightmare scenario. By the time an enemy realized they were in a fight, the fight was already over. But being invisible and untouchable wasn't enough. The Raptor carried a hidden arsenal inside its sleek frame. And the way it used those weapons revealed just how far ahead of its time this fighter truly was. Inside the sleek, angular body of the F-22 lies a carefully hidden set of weapons designed to keep it deadly while still invisible. Instead of carrying missiles and bombs on exposed pylons, the Raptor stores them in internal weapons bays. At high speed, the doors snap open for just seconds, releasing an AM-120 AMRAAM, or AM-9 Sidewinder, then closing before enemy radar has time to lock on. This meant the jet could stay stealthy even in the middle of combat. For close-range fights, it carried a 20mm Vulcan cannon, a reminder that even the most advanced stealth machine still respected the brutal tradition of dogfighting. Its loadout wasn't just about firepower, it was about timing. The Raptor was built to fire first, unseen and unchallenged, destroying threats before they had a chance to react. Every missile launch was an ambush. Every strike a surprise. But here's the twist. While the Raptor was unmatched in technology, there was a hidden flaw. Its greatest strength, innovation, came with a cost so staggering that it threatened the jet's very future. And that cost would become the Raptor's most dangerous enemy. For all its brilliance in the skies, the F-22 carried a weight heavier than any missile, its price tag. Each Raptor cost the US military an eye-watering sum, over $300 million per jet when factoring in research and development. It quickly became the most expensive fighter program in history. Congress and defense officials faced a dilemma. On one hand, the Raptor was untouchable, a machine that could dominate the air for decades. On the other, its cost threatened to drain budgets meant for entire fleets. Critics argued that the US didn't need hundreds of Raptors when no enemy air force could yet match even its older jets. Production was capped at just under 200 aircraft, far fewer than the thousands of F-15s and F-16s it was supposed to replace. To make matters worse, export was banned. Allies like Japan and Australia, who begged for the jet, were told no, leaving the Raptor as an American-only weapon. In the end, the Raptor's greatest advantage, its advanced, futuristic technology, became its own curse. It was simply too expensive to build in numbers large enough to dominate every sky. And as America slowed production, rivals around the world began preparing their own answers. Because if the Raptor was the king of the skies, Russia and China were already sharpening their swords to challenge the throne. While the Raptor reigned supreme, other nations refused to accept permanent second place. Russia and China poured billions into their own stealth fighter programs, determined to close the gap. Russia advanced the Su-35, not stealth in the same sense, but a dogfighting monster with raw thrust and super maneuverability. Later came the Su-57, Moscow's answer to the Raptor, marketed as a fifth-generation stealth jet. It promised similar radar-evading qualities, though experts doubted it ever matched the F-22's invisibility. China, meanwhile, unveiled the J-20, a long-range stealth fighter designed not just to dogfight, but to project power far from Chinese shores. Unlike the compact and agile Raptor, the J-20 was bigger, built for range and missile capacity, signaling Beijing's ambition to dominate the Pacific. Together, these aircraft didn't dethrone the F-22, but they did something just as important. They proved America would no longer fly unchallenged. In war games and intelligence reports, the once untouchable Raptor was now seen as part of a global arms race. The legend of the Raptor was secure, but history was already looking past it. A new generation of fighters was being sketched on classified blueprints with one mission: to surpass even the ghost in the sky. The Raptor story is one of brilliance shadowed by rarity. With fewer than 200 ever built, it never became the massive fleet envisioned during its design. Instead, it turned into something else: a legend. Pilots called it a privilege to fly. Enemies whispered about it without ever seeing it. And aviation historians placed it in the same breath as the Spitfire, the Mustang, and the Phantom. Aircraft that didn't just fight wars, but changed them. Yet the F-22's real legacy isn't only in the skies it dominated, it's in the blueprints of tomorrow. The jet laid the foundation for sixth-generation programs, like America's next-generation air dominance, NGAD, and Britain's Tempest project, each designed to carry stealth, AI, and unmanned teamwork even further. Without the Raptor, these programs wouldn't have a starting point. But history has a sense of irony. The very factors that limited the F-22, its staggering cost, its secrecy, its exclusivity, have now become warnings for the future. Will the next generation of fighters avoid those same traps, or will they become legends too rare to matter? For now, the F-22 remains the ghost in the sky. A machine ahead of its time that may never be matched in pure dominance. Its question lingers even today. Was it the greatest warplane ever built? Or the most expensive cautionary tale?